7 o'clock. I figured maybe we can go ahead and start introducing ourselves, and then Madeline, if you'd like, you can take the floor, and then hopefully Mr. McCormick by that time will be able to join us.
Yeah, that's fine.
So I'll, start by saying thank you guys all for taking the time to join us tonight. We've got some really exciting information to share with you. My name is Ariana Arthurs. I'm one of the counselors here at Columbia, and I will pass along to my fellow colleagues to introduce themselves.
Hi, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Corey A. Jones. I am a proud counselor of Columbia High School. I'm happy to be here. I look forward to sharing this information with you all.
You want me to go?
Madeline, yes.
Okay. I'm Madeline Tugetman. I'm the president of the Columbia High School Scholarship Fund. Do you want me to tell about it now?
Yes, you can proceed before we start.
Actually,
Yes.
before we, sorry, Madeline, just sorry to interrupt. It looks like some may not be able to hear, but some can hear. So if you guys, for those that can't hear, perhaps it might be something within the settings, because there are some people that can hear. It may be helpful to try to log out and log back in and just make sure that your audio is connected too. Sorry. But can everyone else hear?
Yes, so we got a lot of yeses. Okay.
We got some yeses? Okay, great. Wonderful.
Sorry
about that, Madeline.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I'm the president of the Columbia High School Scholarship Fund. We are a need-based scholarship program that has been in existence for 101 years. And our mission is to serve the seniors and graduates of Columbia High School continue with their education, no matter what path that is. It could be a 2 or 4-year college, a trade, technical, or certificate program. And in some cases, we help students with graduate school. As I said, our scholarships are need-based. Students can reapply for as long as they're in school and as long as they're continuing their education. For this year, for the 24-25 school year, we helped 142 students and we awarded $265,000. That was a record in both instances, who we helped and how much we gave out. If you would like to learn more about the Columbia High School Scholarship Fund, please go to our website at chssf.org. Read about us and donate. Thank you so much. Have a good junior year with your student. It's a tough one. Have a good one. Bye.
Madeline, we really appreciate it.
Nice to see you, Mr. Sanchez.
Nice to see you again.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Sanchez, we introduced ourselves. If you want to say hello, the floor.
Yes. Okay. Sorry. I had there was some Wi-Fi issues here at school. Did Mr. McCormick introduce himself too, or not yet?
No, he's just logging on.
Okay. So parents, thank you so much for attending our junior evening tonight. We're going to try to I'm going to try to answer things on the chat. So as we go, if you just be patient with me, I'm going to try to answer some things. But I do want to introduce again, I know our counselors already have introduced themselves, but also I'd like to introduce our partner in crime here, Mr. Phil McCormick, who's been here for nearly, 20 years, at 17 years here at Columbia High School.
17, yes.
And he is the 11th grade assistant principal. So he's really your point person with any issues or questions. And so I just want to introduce Mr. McCormick, and of course our great counselors here who are here going to help us with everything in this presentation. We are filming this presentation, so in case people, your friends or don't have it, we will send out the slide deck and the video in the next couple of days. So that's it for me. Mr. McCormick, is there anything you want to mention about maybe PSATs or anything like that, sir?
Sure. Thank you. And thank you for the introduction. It's a privilege to serve as your class of 2026 assistant principal. So just a few things. There will be The PSAT coming up, you received an email from the school messenger probably about a week ago or so. That's coming up for Friday, October 11th. And what will happen with that is juniors will test. They'll come in at 7:55. A few days prior, they'll be instructed in terms of where to report for the testing location. And they will test until about 10:50 or so. The rest of the building will come in for 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th periods. What we will ask is that students access, there are some practice materials that were sent to students by me a couple of days ago, practice materials, practice tests, some information about the Blue Book system that we use. We'll ask that certainly students come in with their Chromebooks charged. And if students don't have their Chromebooks, to see our guidance staff, our library staff, as soon as possible to get that. The only other thing that I will say is that our 504 and IEP students, their accommodations will be honored. The only thing I have to say is that if a student has a 504 and they have extended time on tests, that applies to all standardized tests that by the state. For College Board tests like the PSAT, you do need to apply for that separately. Same thing goes for the AP tests. Same thing goes for the ACT. So to do that, if you haven't applied for that, you'll need to do that, and that will need to go through Mr. Matt Enlick. I can share his info in the chat. He's our SSD coordinator. But yeah, if you have already gotten that accommodation, that will be delivered for the PSAT, and you will be testing in a room. Students will test in a room that will accommodate extended time, and there will be no moving to other spaces. Their entire test will be in this one extended time room. I think that's all I have. One more thing. I emailed students earlier today about attendance. It is so important to be there for all of your classes. Tardies add up to absences. 4 tardies equals 1 absence, and 18 absences are the maximum allowed in a full year class. 9 in a semester, 5 in a quarter. Once a student exceeds that, they can potentially lose credit in the class. So I will say, students, it is so important to go to your classes, to go regularly, be there on time. Your teachers really want you to be there to educate you. I think that's all I have for now. I'll keep my eyes on the chat for the rest of the time. Thank you to our counselors, and thank you for Mr. Sanchez for leading us. So thank you all.
Thank you. So I will go ahead and share my screen to get this presentation started. Let's see. Can you all just let me know if you guys can see that? We're good? Okay, great. So again, thank you all for coming out tonight. We've got some really important information to share. But before we dive into the material for tonight's presentation, we just want to make sure that everyone is equipped with all of the important programs here at Columbia. So for one, Canvas, this is where students are on. This is a great place to check students' grades and just make sure that you're, in touch with what's going on in the classroom. For a parent to be able to see Canvas, the student must pair with the observer. And there are resources on the SOMSD website if you need further assistance with that. As for Power School, this is another great resource to use in terms of keeping or monitoring, I should say, your child's grades. For students who need assistance with getting into their Power School, they can see our librarian, Mr. Cosgrave. He's located this year in the guidance department. For parents who need login support, you're welcome to email the parent portal help, and these emails are listed here. So again, 2 really important platforms that you want to make sure that you have access to this year. SCORE is our college and career planning platform that we'll talk about a little bit later on in tonight's presentation. Remind is an app that some of our counselors use as another form of communication. It's a great way, in addition to emails, where counselors can text their students and for anything that they need to get in touch with them. And then, of course, you know, students and parents, you always want to make sure that you're checking email. And for parents and guardians, it's also important to make sure that the email address on PowerSchool is correct, because that's essentially where all of this important information coming from the school and the guidance department is going to be sent. And then last but not least, you know, your students' mental health is the most important survival kit, you know, for their success here at Columbia. So we always want to make sure that students feel that they are supported. If there are, of course, any concerns with that, please utilize your child's counselor and we can, you know, be of a support or refer to a higher level of care if needed. Okay, just want to make sure you guys can see the next slide. We're good. Okay, so, you know, of course, the guidance department will provide academic and social emotional resources, but the #1 support will be your child's school counselor. So as you guys have probably already known, there's been some shifts within our departments. So you want to make sure that, you know, you're in touch with your child's counselor, that you're aware in case there have been any changes at the start of the school year. Your counselor is essentially your child's, like, you know, one-stop shop, right? If we don't know the answer, we will, you know, do everything in our power to refer the student to the appropriate resource. So when in doubt, seek out your school counselor. In addition to your school counselor, we have amazing, you know, supports with Achieve Tutoring. The application has now been updated on the counseling website. So for any student that's interested in being an Achieve Tutor as a volunteer or any students in need of tutoring, please see the counseling website for that application form. Of course, students have access to teachers during period 9 for conference period. There's also the counseling annex, which essentially Achieve is a part of. There's also SLAM Lab, which offered support during lunch and study halls where various teachers, I believe through language and math support, would be available for students for additional resources. And then the Loft, which is a part of Family Connections. We're really excited to have that partnership. It's a school-based youth services program that offers individual counseling, group counseling, family counseling. So it's a wonderful resource in addition to all of the above. I personally have chaperoned several Loft events. So in addition to these resources, they have after-school activities, you know, college trips, and even a trip to Dorney Park. So for those students who may be referred to the Loft for that, you know, level of support, it's a wonderful resource. So junior year is here. As I mentioned in the beginning, it's a really exciting year. It's, you know, a year of exploration. This is the year where you want to be familiar with the graduation requirements. This is also the year where you'll start meeting with your child's counselor one-on-one with your student during the second half of the semester. Junior years typically start anywhere between mid to end of January through March. And, you know, those conversations are typically centered around post-secondary planning, testing, and then there will be another opportunity during course selection meetings to discuss senior course selection as well. So again, it's a really exciting year of exploring and talking about what, you know, life after Columbia is essentially going to look like. Now, of course, before we can, you know, get excited about college, we want to make sure that your student is set up for success with graduating from CHS. So this is essentially what a student would need in order to meet the graduation requirements. This is also listed in the program of studies. So if anyone ever wanted to, you know, go back and refer to that, you have access to that information there. In order to be eligible for senior status, a student would need to have a minimum of 90 credits and a minimum of 120 credits is required to graduate. Now, in addition to this graduation requirement, there is a New Jersey testing requirement through the NJGPA. Students who do not meet the benchmark for the NJGPA will have other pathways, for example, through the PSAT, through the SAT, and for any student that still is in need of meeting that requirement, there is a third pathway option available through a portfolio class in their senior year.
And we also do a retake. So for example, I think in the week of October 7th through the 10th or the 11th, we're actually going to be some seniors who may have missed one or the other will be retaking that portion of the NJGPA. So we make sure everybody has the opportunity to pass, and every student who wanted to pass, who attempted to take that portfolio class, definitely graduated last year. So it's very doable.
Absolutely. And another thing I'd like to point out is that although these are the minimum requirements to graduate, as you're thinking about post-secondary options, especially for four-year schools, we encourage students to go above the minimum, and most of our students graduate with well above these numbers. So again, these are just the minimum to graduate. But for example, if you are looking at, competitive schools, taking that third year math or that third year science or social studies would be in your best interest too. So this is what a typical junior schedule should look like. Again, we encourage students to go above that once they do hit senior year. As a reminder, if a student has not completed their financial literacy, fine art, or practical art courses at this time, that's a conversation that you'll definitely want to have with your counselor or your child's counselor to make sure that that's set up for senior years. That will need to be added to their schedule. So there are plenty of post-secondary high school options available, and there's no one, right or wrong path, which is what's most exciting about that. The vast majority of our students will submit an application to a four-year school. However, in the guidance department, we are well equipped to serve students, attending any type of institution. For example, a two-year college may be a great option for anyone who is maybe undecided about what they would like to study in college, or for someone who knows what they want to study but are looking for a financially affordable option. The great thing about two-year schools is that a lot of two-year schools will also have something called an articulation agreement with four-year schools. So they have staff that are equipped to help students as they transition to four-year schools. Another popular option that we've seen are postgraduate year or gap year programs. And if anyone has already attended one of our college and career fairs, you may have seen representatives from these gap year programs at those events. But what we do encourage for anyone who is interested in potentially taking a gap year, we encourage the student to still go through the college application process with their counselor. That way they have a college already set up by the time they graduate. They would let their college know that they would defer their admission for 1 year or a semester, depending on how long they'd like to go for. And at the end of that deferment, they would have somewhere to go. So these are just a couple of ways that we support our students post Columbia High School. So the best way to start the college search is via SCORE. So SCORE is our college database used to research and identify potential schools for your college list. Students should check to make sure they can access their accounts, as they can sign up for college rep visits via SCORE. So we've already welcomed a number of colleges to campus. And so students would need to register ahead of time, and juniors are welcome to attend these appointments as well. These are great opportunities for your student to network with a representative that's likely also reading their application. And again, these visits are, they've opened, I believe, starting at September, and they'll end around November. So there's still plenty of colleges. If your student hasn't had an opportunity to see one yet, there's still plenty of representatives that are coming to visit us. Then also during the junior meeting, the counselor will go over in depth, like, how do you score and all of its features, like the scattergram and our historical data as well. So that'll happen in the junior meeting. So as you're thinking about what makes up an ideal college list, you want to consider different, levels, right? So on average, students apply to about 10 to 12 schools. But of course, we've seen students go above that. We've seen students go below that. But on average, it's about 10 to 12. And within those schools, we advise students to categorize them within these options. So when we think about a reach school, we think about, your typical IB, the school that's less than 30% acceptance. So it's a little bit more on the selective side. So these are the schools that typically accept few students with your GPA and test scores, and also typically have a lower admissions rate or acceptance rate, excuse me. For level or target schools, these are schools that, typically accept most students with your GPA and test scores. So we encourage students to build their list around target options. And SCORE can be a great tool. As I mentioned before, one of the really cool features is the scattergram, where we have historical data for students to look back on based on previous applications that were successful or unsuccessful. And then there's the likely category, which these are the schools that mainly accept all students with your GPA and test scores and should also be affordable for your family. It's important to note that, every child's records are going to be different. So a reach for one student may be a level for another, right? So just to keep that in mind too. But the goal is to make sure that students have a well-rounded and balanced college list.
Okay, the college search, the next step.
I'm sorry, Mr. Jones, can I just say one thing?
Sure.
I'm going to put a link in to the homepage of the counseling website. If they're after this, just so you know, I don't want you to take away from Ms. Arthur's or Mr. Jones' presentation, but if you take a cursor and you put it to the side and you just scroll down, every day we have a list of those SCORE visits. We've definitely contacted all of the students, juniors and seniors, to let them know about them. And I've seen many juniors and seniors already at these visits. And so just to point out today, what day is today? The 25th? 25th. Kenyon was there, Barnard, Colorado College, right? NJIT,
Yep.
SUNY at Buffalo, Rhode Island, Bloomfield, Dartmouth. So these are just a couple of them, you know what I mean? And then tomorrow we'll have Hofstra, Fairleigh Dickinson. So I'm just going to point these out. Your children, Columbia will be there tomorrow. We'll have the opportunity to have these visits. These are for juniors and seniors only. We don't excuse absences for sophomores or freshmen. It's really too early for them. But juniors and seniors have this opportunity. So I just wanted to point that out, and I'm going to put the link in. Again, you can scroll all the way to the bottom, but for now, let's continue with Mr. Jones. I'm sorry for the interruption.
Oh, no problem. Our office is buzzing with these visits. It's going great. Be encouraged to sign up on SCORE. Scroll down on the right. You have to scroll down a little bit. We were showing a student today. You got to scroll down on the right side of the home page and you'll see our calendar. So when you go into SCORE, everything is neatly programmed for you. Every school you pull up, you can see clean. It's better than their website almost, because you'll get used to the format. You could go to any school you're interested in, look for virtual tours, virtual information sessions, on-campus visits. Obviously, like Mr. Sanchez mentioned, we have college reps coming here, and in April, we're going to have an awesome college fair. Miss Authors took care of us last year, and it was absolutely amazing. Also, I know this is very important to parents. Students get up to 3 excused absences for the college visit, so your attendance will not be negatively affected. You should know that for sure.
And Mr. Jones, those are for outside of the
Yes.
building college visits, right? So a
Yes.
child can visit, period 3 one day the college rep here, the college rep there, but we're talking about family trips,
Yeah, day away from school, out of the
away from
state,
school, a
wherever you
full
go.
day. You just got to get like a little piece of paper that you went there,
Yeah.
and you could talk to our attendance secretary, and then it will be an excused. That's one of the 5 only excused absences the state of New Jersey allows. So you get 3 of those a year. Last year, I think I went to the Eclipse. I think we went to Binghamton and Syracuse on the way to the Eclipse, right? To get a college visit. So definitely something worthwhile, but that's an extension of what we already do in the building. Well, we like to bring in these college reps too, just so they can see Columbia. We could schmooze with them as well.
Build relationships.
Build a relation. Exactly. Sorry. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mr. Jones.
No, you're good. You're good. Your GPA, guys, your GPA is very important. It's in black and white. It does not change. Once a final grade is in, it's going to compute your weighted GPA, your unweighted GPA. Each school is going to want to see your grades, the classes you took. So we want your weighted GPA to be really high. We encourage you to take academically challenged classes to get higher GPAs in your core subjects. The level of your course is highly considered, although as we encourage you to take honor classes and AP classes, it's important that you take a class that you can handle. All right, we don't want you to just struggle through an AP or honor class and just limp by with a D minus. All right, so it's very important that you take the class that you can handle. And if you can handle an honors class or AP class, we encourage you to take those higher level classes. Next. The college admission requirements. All right, so many colleges recommend 4 years of all core subjects, 2 to 3 of world language. So Columbia High School requires 1 year world language, taking 2 in succession, like Italian 1, Italian 2, looks nice, clean and neat on your transcript. The more you can take, the better. We encourage you to choose advanced coursework in specific disciplines. That means if you want to be in business, take a lot of business classes. If you want to be in art, take a lot of art classes. Take this opportunity to build up a resume of coursework that you're interested and passionate about. So when you apply to a specific college regarding that major, they can see that you were all in. I would encourage you as well to take a chance on a class that you've always been thinking about and you want to explore. Don't be afraid to take a class that's outside of your comfort zone to see if it's something that you would be interested in instead of paying thousands of dollars to check it out in college. Be brave enough and have enough courage to take things that you might be interested in just to take a look behind the curtain and see how far your interests can vary, all right? It's important that you find out if the colleges you're interested in are test optional schools. We do not know that offhand. You would have to look at the website for admissions, check, double check, and see if they're test optional. As a junior, I would advise you to just take the SAT and ACT, see how you do. For one, it's a backup graduation requirement, and if you score well and the school is test optional, you might want to brag on yourself and send in the score nonetheless. So as a junior, I would encourage you to take the test. Next slide, please. Here's the links for the SAT and ACT. College Board is where you take the SAT and the ACT. If you have free or reduced lunch, you can get a fee waiver. Just come down to guidance, ask for Ms. Petrosia, and she will look up your status and provide a fee waiver for you. Slide. All right, so when should I take my first SAT? If you are currently enrolled in Algebra 2, you might want to wait till you complete that class and take the exam in May or June. All right, if you're currently enrolled in pre-calculus or calculus, you may be prepared to take your first test in February or March. There's absolutely no rush. Study through Khan Academy. I advise you to study through Khan Academy. Khan Academy is free. Some of you might have outside resources to take practice exams and get tutors. But Khan Academy actually takes the results of your PSAT, and when you link both accounts, it'll work on your strengths and weaknesses when it gives you practice exams. You can put the date that you're going to take the SAT, and it'll prepare you and give you practice exams leading up to that date. So that's the best way to study. All right. Next. Admissions requirement deadlines. So these are some of the, this is some of the process. Regular decision, you have a date where you must apply by, and they'll usually give you a heads up on when you're going to get an answer. Rolling, I know Montclair State has rolling admissions. When you send an application, there's no early decision, early action. You apply, they answer as the applications come in. Early action, you want to get a head start and know if one of your favorite schools are going to accept you. So you might want to apply to a school that has early action. You would find all this information in SCORE on the school's website. Early decision is your favorite. If they say yes, you say yes. All right, so that's a school that you locked in. That's your dream school. Everyone else is, you know, a far distant second, third, and fourth. If this first college that you apply to, early decision says yes. So it's kind of a binding agreement with your word, all right? Obviously, you can change your mind, but that's not the premise. The premise is if you say yes, I say yes. So that's early decision. Next slide. Special programs, financial eligible for EOF. So Mr. McCormick is going to put the link of EOF in the chat. There's an EOF website. If you are approved for EOF, you get extra support, extra funding, some summer programs. It's based on financial need and grades. If you are an athlete going to play a college sport, Mr. McCormick is going to put the NCAA link in the chat, which you should check to find out and make sure and confirm you're taking the appropriate classes that meet NCAA requirements.
Mr. Jones, would you also be able to just briefly explain what EOF is?
Oh, EOF is an Education Opportunity Fund, and it's based on financial need, grades. It's an application, and if you're approved, usually free or reduced lunch is one of the prerequisites. You get extra support and extra funding, and it's a great program for those that could use the extra help. So financial aid, we found out this year you have to fill out the FAFSA to get your high school diploma. So it's state mandatory to fill out the FAFSA now. You must fill out the FAFSA before you graduate. To apply for financial aid, you have to fill out the FAFSA. They have to know your financial need, how much your parents make, your complete financial situation. The website is there. It's a free application. You're going to get a password and login. Your parents are going to get a password or login as well. What's the difference between loans, grants, and scholarships? Loans is actually self-explanatory. It's a loan. You have to pay it back. A scholarship, financial gift based on academics or athletics or a combination of both. And grants are free. You don't have to pay those back as well. So where can I learn more about scholarships? We have a national database. We're going to have on our website, on the counseling department, we're going to update our scholarship page where you're going to be able to find resources. Obviously, you're going to look on your own. You're going to have to do some Google searches, but we're going to have a scholarship link in the counseling website where you can look. And also, the counseling department is also going to email all our seniors scholarships when you guys are seniors. So we'll always keep you abreast on all the scholarships that we come across.
And FAFSA, just so I mentioned this in the chat, was greatly delayed, and it actually caused a lot of issues last year. This year, they're saying it's just going to be delayed by a month. So we'll hopefully have that. Parents, if, it's awesome. If no scholarship or financial need is allowed, the state of New Jersey will allow a parent to just click and waive the FAFSA process. But it is a graduation requirement. The reason is because so many people don't know about it and don't go through that process. We will be working very hard this year. We'll be getting training from an outside consultant during the year for our counselors and others, Spanish speakers and Haitian Creole speakers in our district. So we will be able to do one-to-one counseling with FAFSA. I mean, I think I'm a pretty educated person, and I struggled a little bit last year. I'd love to have that one-to-one person to meet with me last year as a dad to go through that process. It takes about 15, 20 minutes to understand what codes to put into the thing. The government really streamlined it. So it's a much easier system than if you had older children 5 years ago or 4 years ago. It's just a delayed, clunky website at this point, and we hopefully get it streamlined. So by next year, I think it's going to be fine and perfect. But I just wanted to kind of give you that. Someone was asking about what the problem with FAFSA was. So hopefully it'll be streamlined this year, so you won't have any issues. Regardless, though, next year we will definitely be pushing out into the community to really make sure that everybody fulfills, or not fulfills, excuse me, fills out the FAFSA who needs it.
So, in conclusion, we want you guys to know that if we stay in constant communication and work on a plan, the senior year is going to be somewhat of a breeze. If you can take care of some of these things now, get on a plan, create a plan, study for the standardized test, start exploring your colleges and score, put in some of the colleges that you're interested in, hearten those in the score so you can stay abreast on what's going on with those particular schools and why you like them. Plan college visits. It's nothing like visiting a school. You know, friends can tell you about it. Family members can go there. That could be a parent's alma mater. But visiting a school is very important. It's just a sense you get when you're on campus that's like no other. Start notes in your phone, your college essay ideas. When you start to apply to colleges and Common App as a senior, they're going to give you some prompts, but as you look for scholarships, and you might have some great essay ideas that you might want to save and refine for next year as well. I want you to know the counseling department is here to answer any questions. Your junior year should be a blast with Mr. McCormick supporting you, the counselor supporting you. Mr. Sanchez is all over the building, very accessible. You can't miss him. He's saying good morning to you in the morning. So if you stay on top of some of these to-do lists, the year will go smooth. So we just want you to know we're here. The resources are here. This recording is going to be on YouTube and uploaded to the counselor website in a couple of days. This PowerPoint is going to be updated and posted on the website, and the Q&A questions are going to be posted on the website as well. So if you know someone that couldn't make it, you can let them know that it's going to be all available for them to watch, and we watch. And so that's all we got, and we open in for questions right now.
Thank you, Mr. Jones and Ms. Arthurs. And someone just had a question about recommendation letters. We have no issues with that. We feel very strongly our teachers have agreed to do that. But just for etiquette's sake, let's talk about next year, right? Your children are juniors. I know our counselors will recommend, listen, you're in one of these AP classes, for example, let's say AP language or AP US history too. Some of these teachers have 120 students. So what I kind of tell my own daughter, I don't know, counselors, if you do the same thing, you get on that in June, right? You get that in May and June and talk to that teacher and say, I would love, in an email, I would love if you could write me a letter of recommendation next year. Would that be possible? Here's my, they'll probably have a brag sheet done by then, right? I think asking teachers before the last day of school is key, Okay, so because you, as a teacher, I couldn't write 150 letters, right? So it's important to do that beforehand, and then also it's important to be patient. I have my middle daughter's a senior this year. On the first day of school, she came to me and said, "Dad, my teacher still hasn't put up my letter of recommendation on score." And I'm like, are you crazy? Like you're going to do early action. It's not going up till October 15th or October 30th. Like, calm down. And I get it. It is stressful for our seniors, but it's I think our responsibility, and I say ours, I mean school, to just let people know, shh, it's all right, guys. We're busy. The teachers are busy. Our counselors are doing incredible things. It'll get done before that deadline. So I just want to kind of make sure, if you think about those recommendation letters, kind of give people notice. I think that's a good idea. And I just want to give a shout out to our counselors who this year, the master schedule was kind of outsourced, and it was done well. I mean, it was fine, but when it's done by someone outside of the school, doesn't know everything, there's going to be some issues. And we had to bring in our counselors over the summer. Some of them had vacations planned and everything like that. And they came in and they did that for us for like 2 weeks, scrubbing stuff. And then for the first week and a half, like 8 days, we really worked. I'm sorry, I said we. They worked very hard on getting those schedules done. So I just wanted to point that out. They're already working with their seniors right now on senior meetings. And so just going to give you a kind of look behind the curtain. That's the process that does happen in September when your child's a senior. So I don't know if there's more questions here, but my behind
I just want to second what Mr. Sanchez said, just giving all the gratitude to our counselors. It was a tough start of the school year as it relates to the schedule, and they worked tirelessly through lunch periods and period 9, and seeing the lines of students get shorter and shorter as the days went on, and seeing this get cleared up relatively quickly is due to their dedication. So just a second kudos to them for that.
Yeah, I think everybody has good answers about how many colleges you want to visit during these score visits, right? You want to definitely show you want to show interest, right, to those colleges that you really want to. I mean, I don't know how many colleges you're going to send applications to. I think every kid is different. I keep talking about my own kids, but one kid sent out 5 or 6, one sent out 10, is sending out 10. I think that's a lot, but everybody's different. So I do think, here's one thing I will say: if you're going on a college visit, make sure you get that documentation and sign in, with the admissions, not just because of us, like you want to prove that you're there. Like, we're going to let that go probably, you know what I mean? It's more because you want to show them that you have interest in that college, because when they start doing the admissions process, they're going to look if you visited or not. Like, not that that's a tiebreaker or anything, but it does add, I think, to the colleges real interest in that.
Also, if you
The college.
visit, you should ask for a fee waiver when you apply. Traditionally, they'll grant you a fee waiver on the application if you visit the campus. So even if you have visited and forgot to ask or wasn't aware to ask, you still could reach back out to them and say, we visited on this day. We would like a fee waiver when my child applies to the school. So
Corey, I've worked here for 20. I've worked in schools for 20. I never knew that. I'm going to start.
yeah.
I got a couple. I'm going to save a couple bucks. That's good. That's good looks. Good luck. Thank you.
Certainly adds up.
All right. Well, again, everything's going to be here, but if you have any questions, reach out to your counselor, reach out to Mr. McCormick, and they do a great job. So hopefully,
Also,
go ahead, sir.
before you go, Mr. Sanchez, I know it's a lot going on in counseling, but if you have an important question, because the email is quite overwhelming in the start of the school year, I'm definitely fine with you just popping your head in my office if it's a pressing question. All right, just stop by. I don't want to ignore email, but sometimes it gets pushed down, and I don't want you to think I'm not concerned about what you need. Feel free to stop by. There's peppermints on my desk. You could grab a mint as well. But if it's important, a squeaky wheel gets the oil. So please stop by if it's important. If it could wait and you email me, then that means it could wait.
That's all right. It's good. That's a good lesson there, Mr. Jones. I was gonna say, I forget. Oh, just a couple last things. Thank you, counselors. Homecoming is happening next month. Juniors are allowed, so this will be the first dance for them. Homecoming dance. So that would be cool. Tickets are on sale tomorrow and a couple days next week. It's all on Canvas. Mr. McCormick, anything else for 11th graders? They can't park at school. Other than that, is there anything else?
I think that pretty much covers it. The NJGPA, the state standardized test, that will happen, but that happens in March. So you'll get more information about that in, January or so. But the PSAT 11 is what's coming up. You'll see parents, guardians, families, and students also received information on that. And I just want to again underscore the attendance piece, getting to your classes on time, keeping your attendance, keep going to class, staying in class is the first step to success. So keep up the good work with that.
Yes. All right. And back to school nights, October 10th. You can see some of our construction that we hope to be unveiling. Our counselors are moving their offices, but we'll let the kids know about it next week. All right, everyone. No parking for juniors. Sorry. All right. Bye-bye.
Have a great night, everyone.
Good night.